Put all of your preconceptions of what an Android launcher should be and gaze upon Blloc Ratio. This is essentially an anti-launcher, a gorgeous minimal launcher that actually wants you to be more aware of how much you use your smartphone. And we've gone hands-on with the alpha version to give you our first impressions. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and enable notifications with the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. So a little bit of backstory first. Blloc is a Berlin-based company that originally released the minimal 018 smartphone, which did come with Ratio pre-installed as a monochrome interface. Despite the limited availability of the 018, the launcher inevitably caught the eye of Android fans, so now the team behind Blloc has decided to test the waters with the release of their custom launcher for the masses, although this is the early stage of development and it is currently invite only. Even though it is in the alpha testing phase, Ratio is easily one of the most unique and most compelling Android launchers that I've used in a long time, part in thanks to the sheer thought that has gone into this launcher from start to finish. It is designed to make you more aware of just how much you use your device, minimise daily distraction, and all whilst simultaneously helping you to curb overuse with a much more simplified user experience. Considering that we are far more accustomed to tweaking, tuning and enhancing our smartphones with a third-party launcher, this is going to be quite a departure from regular convention for most of you watching. Ratio itself consists of two main sections of screens. You have a main Drawers home view, which collates all of your applications into distinct sections, and the root view. This is a section that hosts a selection of widgets such as the current weather, some conversion tools, RSS feeds, plus a few more of those on top. It is clearly designed to stop you from diving into apps directly and gives you information at a glance rather than overwhelming you with options. From this root view you can even use a sort of mini apps like a timer, view a weather timeline and even get news, kind of like how the Google Discover feed collates them, but this is direct from one particular source. We think this is definitely something that could work well on the Pixel launcher if implemented in a similar manner. So using Ratio means a full change of your core OS experience. That does mean in part that it might be jarring for some people out there, especially those accustomed to having proper app drawers and a multitude of icons littering their home screens. You can swipe into the root view or stick with your main drawer view at any time. That's literally all there is to Ratio from the outset. This main view lets you organise your apps in individual subfolders, which can be expanded and collapsed to help reduce clutter on your home screen view. The preset selection of app folders can also be edited and expanded, with some further customisation available on app icons themselves. One notable inclusion is that of timers for each selection of apps that you use. Alongside these labels you'll see the collated time of usage for the apps stored within. This small indicator makes you far more aware of what are the biggest time sinks on your smartphone, and I think it's a powerful addition that makes you hold yourself to account far more than you would do if you look at the hidden settings menu tracker within your smartphone. One big thing that I think might irk some people is the lack of wallpaper when using Ratio as your default launcher. The default is the dark mode, but you can switch easily between the light sun mode, which just switches the black backgrounds to white, and as someone not too fussed by dark mode most of the time, I actually think it's slightly more attractive. Just because Ratio is more minimal from the outset, that doesn't mean the team at Blloc want to stop giving you customization options. You can make it your own quite similarly from iOS from the outset in most regards. You can drag and drop icons around to various drawers. On top of that, you can even change the colour of apps and even expand them in quick toggles, although I wouldn't suggest doing this as it starts to get a little bit messy. One neat feature is that you can turn applications monochrome on an app-by-app basis. This is A, in keeping with the entire monochrome style, but B, actively deters you from overusing certain applications. If you've ever used the digital well-being or wind-down features on Android Pie onwards, turning apps monochrome does make you want to spend less time scrolling and wasting time on certain big time hogs on your phone, social media being a prime example. Of course, that ability to adjust what apps you see in colour helps in applications that essentially rely on colour, like Instagram, YouTube and so on. Using the option sparingly is something I would suggest though, and it is easy enough to activate on the fly as you can just swipe up from the corner of your display in the same way that you activate the Google Assistant on Android 10. Being able to lock apps using Face Unlock on phones that support it, such as the Pixel 4, is a neat touch, something that I've done for my various work-related applications. You can also use in-display fingerprint and physical fingerprint readers too for biometric locking of all of your applications. This is not a new launcher trick by any means, but when the option is enabled, the app will alter your home screen with a fingerprint background. This makes it much easier to instantly spot which of your apps are securely locked from prying eyes. The customization of Ratio doesn't go much deeper than that, but given the design, this is probably to be expected. If you want proper in-depth customization, then likely Ratio won't be for you anyway. The biggest impression that Blloc Ratio has left on me though is just how much I use certain apps on my smartphone on a daily basis. Some of that has most definitely been exacerbated by the COVID-19 lockdown, but since installing I feel actually less inclined to use most of my apps. But in some sort of weird paradox, I found myself just admiring how sleek Ratio looks rather than using the apps installed on my phone. With that in mind, I'm really surprised at just how much of a difference a black and white interface has made of an overall desire to use or actively not use my phone. I'm far more conscious of how much time I'm spending or simply wasting, and that I suppose is a positive side effect that Blloc might be aiming for with Ratio. At this early stage, there are a few issues that sometimes make the experience quite jarring, such as apps locking when the app switch is used. This forces you to head back to the home screen and then reopen apps, although it has the unintended consequence of making me just put my phone down half the time, which could be argued is what Blloc is still trying to achieve with Ratio anyway. Coming from far more fully featured Android launchers like Nova and Launcher, Ratio does feel like a sort of anti-launcher. It's designed in a way to lower your reliance on your smartphone, and it just so happens that it is a fantastic looking alternative with some impressive features. Will it be a hit though? Well, not entirely sure, but it is a fantastic alternative that we can't wait to see fully released at some point soon. So on top of that, you're probably wondering, how can I get Ratio? Well, you'll need to join an invite-only waitlist via the link down in the description. On top of that, you'll also need a supported device. Currently that is only the OnePlus 7 series, the Pixel 3 through to the Pixel 4. You'll also need to sideload the launcher itself via the Blloc Desk app on Windows and macOS. Don't worry though, we'll leave some links down in the description explaining everything further. Although with that said, what do you think of what you've seen so far? Would you rock Ratio as your main launcher of choice? Let us know down there in the comment section below. But until next time, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.